Hi, folks. Dr. Lisa Smelser here, welcoming you to the fall 2020 semester. I wanted to give you a tour of our Blackboard course. I've got quite a bit built out for you. I appreciate your patience this past week as we all get onboarded. I know things like textbooks are a little bit delayed, and hopefully that gave you a chance to get organized, to get in the groove of things, and to make sure that you got any housekeeping items taken care of, as well as our orientation quizzes and the academic integrity quizzes. So here we go. So I am in the student, I will be in our student course view, but when you log into Blackboard, you'll see your panel here on the left-hand side, and your calendar will be super helpful to help you keep track of due dates, and that will be actually the first page that you'll see when you go into our course. So I have a list here of courses that I am teaching, and you'll have a list of courses that you are taking. If you have the option to add a course as a favorite, that will make sure that everything's up at the top of your list, and that's just another way to organize it. So you can click into our class by 110 LN2. And for our class, I know we've got a wide range of interests, which is why I had you do the introduction blog. That way, as we're going through different topics, I kind of know what you're interested in, what your career goals are, and I can pull in some information that connects to it. So this course will count as a science with a lab, as a general science transfer course. We also have students in here who are enrolled in the bioprocess technology program, and it will count directly for their AAS degree. So we've got a wide range of students with us in here, which I think is just fantastic. So when you enter our course, the first place you will end up is the calendar. I do this for simplicity's sake and to make sure that you know what is due when, and that is right in front of you. I'll show you a few other places to help you get organized, but I think this is the best way to answer the question, what do I have to do and when is it due? So you can actually click on any of these assignments and find out, okay, well, the academic integrity quiz, that's due on the 25th, that's tomorrow. You can see the specific time that it's due, and you can actually directly go to any of these assignments from the calendar, which is a fantastic way to get to these assignments. I do have them linked and embedded within our content, and I'll show you where to find that, but you can always link to what's due when directly from your calendar. I also have a reoccurring reminder about your Mastering Biology assignments, and I'll show you where we link from Blackboard into Mastering. I put this reminder up because Mastering currently doesn't allow us to embed those assignments directly into Blackboard. I know they're working on it, so I just put a recurring announcement to remind you to go to Mastering Biology in order to complete those assignments. You can also toggle into September. I did post a Unit 1 blog 1, Introductions, Getting to Know One Another. You can get to that blog from there. I posted an example for you. You can follow suit. I also posted when our first exam is, so that's September 15th, just so you have an idea of the pacing, and I'll have a pacing document for us inside of our course. You will take all of your exams in Blackboard. Please just make sure that you have reliable internet, and I've posted in our course some places where you can find that reliable internet. If their internet drops in the middle of a test, please email me as soon as possible and we can talk about it. But I will have a link directly to the exam once it gets posted. So in order to get to the rest of the class, over here on the left-hand side, you can see there's a blue strip, and that blue strip, if you scroll over it, will actually give you another pull-out tab here. Sometimes that gets a little hidden. So for our class, you can get back to the calendar at any time. You can get back to any of the announcements that we may have had, and I make sure to click the email button, so you'll get an email of those announcements, and if you need to see them again, they're always in here. And what we're really going to focus on today is the Start Here Lecture and Lab button. I have combined the Start Here folder and also the lecture folder, and I'm creating a new lab folder for us, all inside of here. So I wanted to reduce the number of places that you had to go. I'm going to briefly mention it now, and then I'll provide an update later. With Mastering Biology, you can click directly on this link, and it will take you into Welcome to Mastering Biology. You can click on the Mastering Assignments. It will have you log in if you have a login, or it will allow you to create one, and you can either purchase an access code through here. You can also put in your access code that you may have purchased from the bookstore. And if you're waiting on materials from the bookstore, going through this portal will allow you to register for the 2-week free trial. And then after the 2 weeks, your trial will shut off. So it is absolutely critical that you either purchase the access code at the end of the 2 weeks, or you get your access code from the bookstore. Keep me posted if there's any additional issues with that. You will find your homework that will step you through and reinforce the lecture material that I have for you, and sometimes the lab material as well, depending on what they have available. Right now, the introduction assignment is posted, so you'll want to get logged in and complete that introduction assignment. Also, if you are looking for a shortcut to the blogs, which will be our class discussion board for the semester, I put a shortcut here. I've also embedded direct links in the Start Here lecture and lab tab. But if you're just looking for the blogs, I've created a link there. You can always check your grades here. It is 100% updated based on automatic grading or what I have graded for you. I do know that I probably have some editing to do still in the My Grades to make sure I get things like lab quizzes out of there. So let me know if anything looks funny, not haha funny, but weird. Your contacts. So if you ever need help with Blackboard, there's a phone number as well as an email. You've got the librarian. You also have my contact information there, my email, as well as my personal LinkedIn account. You're welcome to connect with me on there. And actually, I will put the link to my virtual office hours on this location as well. And then should you ever need the lead biology instructor's contact information, Dr. Terry Miller, it's there, as well as the department chair for math and science. If you have any issues with our class, any questions, please contact me. I am more than happy to work with you on anything. We also have links down here to general academic resources. So if you're needing anything, this is the place to go. And then we also have the CC Cares link, and that takes you to all of the COVID. It has COVID-related resources, but it also has resources to support you to make sure that you can be successful. All right, so we're headed into the Start Here lecture and lab button. We've got our same Start Here number 1 that was in the Start Here tab previously. This is all the same. I will post our course orientation tour that I'm doing right now right here where it says coming soon, and I'll also post it as an announcement. So make sure that you go through this information. I also wanted to make sure you had some additional study and testing resources. Sometimes in moving from high school to college, or if you haven't been in school for a while, or science is just a completely different field of study altogether, it may not necessarily be clear of what do you as students have to do in order to be successful. So I've posted a few links down here in terms of test taking strategies, and then Vanderbilt as well as LSU has some fantastic how to take notes and learning strategies. In particular, this Bloom's taxonomy shows us really what is being asked of you as students in terms of projects or even assignments. So for example, if a student comes to me and says, Dr. Smelser, I am spending so much time studying and it is just not translating over to my test scores and to my grades. And most of the time what ends up happening is that students are studying in the remembering and understanding. So we call this memorizing. But when you look at test questions, whether they're multiple choice or essay, they're actually asking students to apply information that they know, to analyze it, and to evaluate it. And in this class, we'll even get to creation in terms of sharing your own knowledge that you create and connect. But my point here is that if we're studying here in the understanding and remembering, which is the base of our triangle, and the questions are asking you to analyze and compare and contrast, it is a big leap to go from the understanding and remembering up to the analyzing. So what we need to be doing when you're studying is to be doing the things that are listed here. So compare and contrast. So for example, we're going to be looking at animal cells, and we're going to compare and contrast animal cells and plant cells. How are they similar? How are they different? And so instead of just trying to memorize information about animal cells separately and plant cells separately, if we do a compare and contrast, we can really make our learning richer and deeper and connect a lot more together. So in terms of compare and contrast, you could make a chart. You could do a Venn diagram. I've seen students do different word clouds. So what I'm also saying is that studying involves a lot more than just reading and trying to memorize information. And I hope these links are helpful for you. I'm always happy to talk about how you can be more effective and efficient with your time, and how I can facilitate that. I've got our syllabus there, expectations, email. Please make sure you're checking your Cougar Mail on a regular basis. In the beginning, I sent some things to both your Cougar Mail and your personal email to make sure that we all had the information to get on board. From now on, I'll be just sending it to your Cougar Mail, so please make sure to get that connected. The blogs feature is how we are going to have discussions online with one another. Sometimes your blogs may be based on lecture information, sometimes they may be based on lab information, and sometimes it will synthesize and connect things together and allow you to reflect. So think of it like a discussion post. I picked the blogs because I think it's a little bit easier to follow in terms of the format, a little bit more like Facebook. I also posted in here a how-to tutorial. So if you're looking for a Blackboard help guide, this is it. If you ever need any phone numbers, contact information for places on campus, I have that listed here as well. The library is doing pickup in terms of books. and then your online orientation quiz is down here at the bottom. The academic integrity tutorial, very similar setup. There are several different slideshows for you to go through. We are not writing traditional content papers in this class, but I did leave up the APA and the MLA citation information. It might be helpful for another class, and there's a quiz that's in there as well. I do keep a class coffee house hangout. So it's a blog if you want to chat, connect with your classmates. Really, when we're online, sometimes those interactions are more challenging, but I think that we can create an atmosphere where we're all supporting one another. So feel free to post in the class coffee house hangout. You could even post something like, hey, I'm looking at the material. I'm confused about how to get organized and how to be prepared. What are some tips? What are some things that you have that have worked for you? And I'll try to monitor that, and hopefully your classmates will chime in with some great responses as well. So feel free to use the Coffee House Hangout. The course information. So we've got the syllabus in here. I've got the test taking strategies again. I've also got a link to Amoeba Sisters biology videos. This is a fantastic YouTube site that really breaks down and I think adds humor to biology topics. I put the general link in here so that you have it. I will link specific videos directly next to the course content. But no, there is so much more covered in the Amoeba Sisters than I link. So if you're struggling with a concept and you want some more information, I bet the Amoeba Sisters have another video on it, even if I don't specifically assign it. All right, so I try to keep things organized and in order. So blog one introductions, if you have not gone in and posted in there yet, please do so. So to create a blog entry, you can type here or you can click here. I highly suggest typing your responses in a Word file, and that way you can edit and you can save it and then go to post your blog entry. Do not save a blog entry as a draft in Blackboard. It seems like it's going to work, but I assure you, I have tried it and another student tried it out this summer, and it does not work like we think it should. So I encourage you to create your blog responses in a separate file, save it, and then post it. So most of the time all the time, I've got blog instructions here. And for this one, I posted an example. So you can go through and kind of follow my example. You can post a comment, you can create a new one. This particular one says your original post should be at least 100 words and you need to respond to 2 people. So I put the word count there to give you an idea of the expectations. And then I will list how many classmates you're responsible for responding to. You can respond to more than that, and I'll come back and respond to people as well, but that's the minimum. The post will also be indexed here, and so if people go into next week to post this, there'll be another week here, so you can drop down. All right, that brings us to the first unit. So unit 1 does not mean week 1. And I will make that more clear up here. So on the outside of the course information, I've referenced that your due dates, you should check the course calendar and Mastering Biology. If it is a due date that is in the rear, meaning it is in the past, it has a due date of early August or before, it's not relevant. That's on me. I need to get working on those edits. But if it is within our course time frame, then definitely pay attention to those. You will need to click into Mastering Biology on the left-hand side in order to access that information. Before we get into Unit 1, I want to show you the suggested course pacing link. So I have this actually linked to one of my Google Docs, so that way I can edit it on a frequent basis, and you'll automatically have access to my edits. So when you see Unit 1, I think this might make a little bit more sense. Not that all of these things are due on that date, but if we were in a face-to-face format, these would be the dates that we would be working on the information in class. And traditionally, class is an hour and 15 minutes. So I would say, in general, some of you may be able to move through the material a little bit quicker, and some of you may need a little bit more time. This is just a starting point. My husband went back to school after several years away and finished up his bachelor's degree in his early 40s, and that was one of the main things that was a challenge for him. He felt like it took him a lot more time than other people in order to finish. But in reality, he had no idea how long other people were taking to complete their assignments. So that was all his perception. And definitely have a conversation with me, you know, if work-life balance, work-family balance with school becomes a challenge, and I can make some suggestions, but this is a good starting point to pace yourself. And so I have the online orientations here. I have the textbook sections that correspond with each section. So if you notice, we're not doing every single section of every single chapter, and I've kind of reorganized some things to hopefully make some connections. I really like our textbook because one section is a 2-page spread. So looking for section 1.3, for example, if you open up your book, that is the entirety of section 1.3 on the left and on the right. So I think our textbook is very, very readable, very digestible. I find it very interesting. It is not your traditional science textbook. So I have the sections listed here, and then I've also lined up labs. Now, I don't have all of our lab information posted, and those are not necessarily the due dates, but it correlates the lab with the content in the section. Sometimes student feedback has been that the lab doesn't necessarily match up with the lecture, and we definitely do the best that we can to make sure that they're complementary. The one thing on here that is a due date is the exam. So this is a way that, a recipe, if you will, that you can pace out your time with the material to get to the exam in time. And so that means that you'll be needing to work on material in small chunks and multiple times throughout the week. I will be updating this as we move forward in the class, probably one unit at a time, and we have 5 units in our class. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what you should be doing when. All right, so for Unit 1, so think about this as a folder that I handed to you, and on the front of that folder, I listed the things that are due, the assignments you need to submit. So all of these will be either in Mastering or in the calendar, but I want to make sure it is crystal clear items that I am collecting from you. When we go into the folder, you'll see several different items here. And I will try to organize each unit the exact same way. And so as I mentioned, one unit really is several weeks worth of material, and reference back to that Excel spreadsheet. So one unit covers several weeks. So I always start out with the review sheet, and any additional review materials. Some students really like these review sheets as a checklist. So this is the one for Unit 1, for example. And to use to help write out information. So this is not due, it's not required. I keep it up here because some students love it and other students are kind of like, I'll take it or leave it. So I keep it up here, and if it helps you, then that's fantastic. I will tell you with these review sheets, I probably do need to edit some of them, more so remove information than actually add information. And so refer to the PowerPoint for the unit for ultimate understanding of what you're responsible for. If I have any additional review materials, I'll post it here. So there's a Chapter 1 Jeopardy game. And then a reminder that when you get into Mastering Biology, there are practice tests and quizzes for you as well. Those are great self-study tools. I also list the Unit 1 or the exam essays. So each exam, and there will be 5 of them, will consist of 50 multiple choice questions, and then you'll have 2 essays, or short answers, if you will. Sometimes I will tell you exactly what they're going to be ahead of time, like Unit 1, and other times you'll have some choices. You'll know the choices ahead of time, but you won't know which choice that I picked until you get to the exam. So I will always have those at the top. And so you can open up that file. And this one is very simple. It says there will be a graph analysis and a product analysis on the exam. What the heck does that mean? So I've provided 2 examples. And so this product analysis is an example. Oops. Of what it will look like when you get to the exam. Sorry, my file looks a little weird. It would be one sheet. But for this particular one, I gave you some information, and then based on what we do in lecture, these are all topics that we are going to cover. So no, this is not a expectation day 1, but this is the expectation by the time we get to the end of Unit 1. So I would practice and be able to answer the essay questions as preparation for the exam. And during my student hours are a great time to come back and say, hey, Dr. Lisa, I did these worksheets. Could you go through them with me? I'm not exactly sure if I have the dependent variable correct. That way, I know that you've done work ahead of time, and I know specifically where you are unsure. So again, those are the exam essays are goals by the end of the unit, but I want to make sure that you have that information up front. Same with the practice graph analysis. Our goal for that essay, I will provide you with a graph and you'll answer a series of questions. We'll have gone over that information in lecture, and we'll also practice that in our lab component as well. So again, both of these kind of top units are our end game goals of the unit, making sure that you know what that end is up front. All right. For lecture, again, this is a unit that covers several weeks. I cannot emphasize that enough. I know there is a lot posted here. If you take a look at that schedule, I think that will help you space and pace out your work. So in this unit, we look at the scientific method. What does it mean for something to be living? And classification of organisms. I have notes posted here. And the notes are pretty interactive in terms of asking you questions. When you get to that point, I would write down your answer. In the notes of that slide, there's probably a correct response if it's a kind of question and answer thing. And I would also have my textbook out as you're going through those notes so you can read through the captions on the pictures. If I end up doing any mini lectures or videos, I'll have those listed here. It is up to you whether you want to review the notes first or if you want to look at the videos first. I think they are fantastic. I think all three of these are the Amoeba Sisters. Um, I find them funny. I hope that you enjoy them as well. And so it's your choice, videos or kind of book and notes first. I also have activities. So if I'm teaching this class face-to-face, these are activities that we usually do in class. Again, great activities to do to help focus your studying and also to make sure that you understood the main point of the notes. Those are great activities to bring to student hours, which are not required, but I am on Blackboard Collaborate or on my cell phone, and you can contact me and we can go through that information. So I've got things that are optional on here as well as required. And then a reminder to go into mastering biology. So I would say this is one section. So anytime I say, you know, review this with book and notes, that indicates a new section. And then complete mastering biology assignments, that's going to end a section. So in Unit 1, we really have 2 lecture sections with the same setup here. So at this point in time, this is all work that you're doing at home. If you know people in the class, feel free to go through that stuff together. When we get down here, so I need to pull this graphing information together for our first lab. You can watch the video and take a look at the graphing data before I get it all squared away, but that's going to become our first lab assignment and it will live right here. So both your lecture and lab, all of that's going to be in here. Our first, I believe, 7 or so labs do not need any additional materials. The college is providing y'all with a lab kit for free. When information becomes available of how we're going to distribute those to you, I will provide it. But as of today, I do not have any more details. So your labs will be set up here. Another assignment that we have, so instead of doing a content paper that honestly you probably don't want to write and I don't want to read, and also instead of lab quizzes, we will have these blogs that will highlight certain aspects of science and connect a scientist with them. And so they are the Scientist Spotlight assignments. And you can click on the URL here and it will bring you to the assignment. And this one, even though it says Spotlight 5, that's the one that we're doing. I need to go in and edit that. You can go through and read about Darlene and her SciStarter project. You can click on things like websites, anywhere where it says click here. And then your goal is to create an initial blog based on the 4 questions here. You can choose 2 of the questions to focus on. You can answer all 4. They're just to get you started with a reflection of the information that you see here. And it will instruct you to respond to 2 of your classmates as well. So that due date is on Canvas, or sorry, not Canvas, Blackboard on the calendar. So hopefully this was helpful today. I will do another overview of mastering biology. That way you get a sense for how that program is going to work. I really want to emphasize that what I have posted here is several weeks worth of work, and that you can go back at any time to the course information and the suggested course pacing document. And so you can see really that the scientific method, the unit one, starts tomorrow, and not until we get to really the 10th of September do we get through that entire chunk of information. So I'm happy to talk, happy to clarify that, happy to talk you off the ledge and make sure that you know that your success is so important to me, and that I have all the confidence that we can figure it out together. Um, and that you are in the right place. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and feel free to email me, call, and visit during student hours. Have a great week.